Every day that we're zeichet to learn the base medrash is a very special day. A very special day. It's very nice that today the Kallus took pictures, and Hashem, hopefully those that missed the pictures, hopefully we'll have to Photoshop these guys in. All those that weren't zeichet. Abi, you were in the picture or no? You weren't in the. Okay, Rabbi Shwed, you were in the. Okay, very good. Huh? You missed it. We're going to find out in a few minutes where that picture went. So don't worry. If you might have been in it, you don't even know. All right. So holding in Makeh Patish, Rabbi Isai. It's so that Shabbos. I know we have to talk about these balloons and these all these different zach and blow up things and whatever. But so like this, they have these. I never realized how rampant this is. It's like a thing that I talk about and I just mention it, but I never realized how very normal this is. They have these very, very fancy, like these cocktail type cups, and you can have them that they have some of them, the lid becomes the leg. You guys know from all these things. In other words, you have like a little plastic cup. It's like a hard plastic and like fancy. Sometimes it has different shapes and sizes. And you can put in there mousse, and you can put in there other types of things like what else could you put in there? Ice cream you can put in there. Maisa you can put anything in there. That's not what's kaveh. If I'm saying if it's sure you can put something in there. And then what do? They take them and sometimes they cover them, and then you could take that lid. And afterwards, you could use it as the base. You could use it as the leg. Everybody knows what I'm talking about? They don't know. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? So I never realized. I always I always saw this, and I always heard of it. And all the poskim discuss it about Makeh Patish. He says, yeah, Makeh Patish, not Makeh Patish, right? And the Maisa, I've never realized how rampant this shaila is. Apparently, like now, it's not even. I just said it's like fancy. It's not fancy at all. They sell like 100 of these, let's say the legs, and then they sell 100 of the cups. And then that's how it goes. And then you get it and you put it together. And you can have a caterer and he has to put together 100 of them, right? Rabbi Siegel, every once in a while I look out and see if there's a Zionist or something. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. So somebody on Shabbos, there was a Shalom Zacher. And I watched it. I came to the Shalom Zacher. I got it wasn't going to that Shalom Zacher. I was going to go, but once they saw me, so I sort of had to go in. But it was like early on, and as I was walking past it, I saw one of the kids was putting together all these cups. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it. Imagine you see somebody and he's one by one, he's lighting a match and another match and another match and another. My brain, that's what if it's halachically a problem, so that's what I see. Right? And he was one by one, he was making them. So I told him, Asula Sotetze. He didn't even know what could I be talking about. What can I be doing? Like he looked at me and he said to me, "No, he thought I meant like the bottle cap shaila. You're not allowed to open bottle caps on Shabbos." And I guess he thought that I thought those were bottle caps. And he told me, "No, zelo pkakim." And what you saw from the simplicity and the tamimis, he had no understanding that such a thing was aser. No, it couldn't be massive that such a thing should be aser. And the truth is that. I think that the Orchel Shabbos also seems to say that it's mutter. It also seems to say it's mutter. And Maisa, so that there you go. Maybe it's mutter. Maybe such a thing is mutter. First of all, you saw this kid, he was doing it, right? Number one, it's not a raya. It's a shtickle about it because he never had a tzad that it could be aser. Didn't even know that there could be any tzad in the world that's aser. And number two is the Orchel Shabbos says that it's mutter. So the shaila, should we even discuss the shaila or what? What do you think? You think it's pasha that it's mutter. You think it's pasha it's aser. No, so if somebody thinks it's pasha it's aser, then I have to discuss the shaila. Is everybody asking we should discuss the shaila? If not, I'll just go weiter and talk about something else. I think we should talk about the shaila. Okay, so shaila, let's go back to a different shaila for a moment. Right? Shaila's like this. The shaila is does everybody know that they have these, what the poskim talk about, you have to know what the mitzvahs they're talking about is. They talk about these disposable needles. Do you know what they're talking about when they talk about disposable needles? What are they talking? Injections. What are they talking about? I mean, does anybody know what they're talking about? What are they doing there? And what are they doing? That piece afterward they throw out, but they leave the first piece. So it's a fight. It's a fight. There's two different types. Okay, that's good that we talk about this. I'm not causing trouble. I'm just being minded. There's two different types. There's the type that there's two parts. They take the part, they put it together, they give the guy, they shoot him up, whatever he has to be shot up with, right? And then afterward, they take it, then throw it out. Either they take it apart. That's one type. Then there's another type, which might not make a difference in halacha. I'm just telling you that you have to know what they're talking about. The second type is that there's a base. It's not so much different, right? But there's a base always. That's usually the kind that you're finding today. Usually there's one base, and then they're always switching the needle. And then they take off the needle, and then they put on a new needle, and then on a new needle, and that's how they do it, right? So he has to be shot up with all types of injection and whatever. So they take off this needle, and then they put on the new needle. It might not make enough gemina, but I just want you to know what we're talking about. So they discuss this. Is this an Isser on Shabbos to put together on Shabbos? You have this Jew, where's in Negev? You could have somebody who's a diabetic. You can have somebody who is in painkillers. There could be such a thing. All types of things. All types they find them. Everybody. Obviously, it's a case of where it's mutter to take the shot. I don't want to get involved with that. Sometimes, until you learn halacha, you don't understand this. Like, actually, when you take a shot, you don't always have to bleed. Our brain is, is still holding by the age of like 3 and 4 that if you get a shot, not only are you going to bleed, but you're going to die and everything. Right? But it's not like that. The truth is that I don't know if it's tali and if you're, a skinny fellow or if you're a heavier fellow, whatever it is, but there's different ways of putting it in. Not always do you bleed. So it's not bleeding. It's not always muchach that you're going to bleed. But there's another shaila of administering medicine. But generally, people that are taking shots are either drug lords or they're actually sick, right? So the mela, between the two of them, usually that's not the issue. I'm not getting involved in that issue. I'm saying that's an issue that we discussed when we learned the sugis of chayla. But let's assume he's diabetic or he's whatever the case is, and he has to take a shot on Shabbos. But now, so does he have to, on Erev Shabbos, does he have to put the shot together? And there's different taifanim. One A for this is that he for sure wants it to be sterile, so he doesn't want to put it together Erev Shabbos, especially if it's somebody who's using, the base of some other person's needle. Let's say a person has in his house. I know somebody in the neighborhood that he has like an Eretz Yisrael's gemach for everything. His mamish gemach for everything. So he has a gemach of this type of zach that people come to him. And this is how I found out that there was the reusable type of that nature. And people come to him. And he's a nurse, and he administers the shot. And, so he can't on Erev Shabbos go and, start putting on what? He's going to start putting on every needle, and it's not going to be sterile, and it's not cool. It's not cool. So you can't do that. You can't do that. No. So the Maisa, now it's a very serious shaila. On Shabbos, are you allowed to put together that piece? Are you allowed to put that on Shabbos together? And this is a discussion which is discussed by the Paiskim. There's a Minchas Yitzchak about it. And there's others, they talk about the shayla. It's not a new shayla. It's not a new shayla. It could be that the Metzias I just described is new. I'm not sure 100% what the case was that they were exactly talking about. But it's not a new shayla. There's a Minchas Yitzchak in Chelik Ches and Siman Chav Zayin. There's a Rosh Shlomo Zalman in Beis Yud Zayin. They want to say it's mutter. Now, what's a negei us? What's in the chaos? It's the chaos because this is the sugya, the discussion of what we discussed the other day. A little bit of a recap over here. If you take two things, you put them together, and you completed the tzura. You completed the tzura somehow. Our example was laces into shoes. Our example was a stuffing into a pillow. We had a few examples. If you take something and you go and you complete a tzura, exactly what we were conveyed the other day is considered a completed tzura. So that's the issue of makeh b'patish. You should know it's a unique makeh b'patish. It's interesting that we started from this because that's really how the Shulchan Aruch starts. The normal classic makeh b'patish is a much easier, understandable makeh b'patish. You have a fork on Shabbos that bends. You stick it into a piece of hard gefilte fish or something. So you want to bend the fork back into place. You have the glasses. And you have to bend sometimes the legs. You bend how it is. Somebody gives you like one knack, right? And then this thing gets over there and boom, and now it's like over there. And you want to bend it back on Shabbos. So that's a grace of shayla. It's a grace of problem. Makeh b'patish, Shabur brings down in Siman Shin Mem. When you're taking a fork and you're putting it back together again, that's the real makeh b'patish, we'll call it. There's also the obvious makeh b'patish if we're finishing something up, right? You finish something. They have these caps that sometimes you sell with the chairs. The caps on the chairs, and you put that on. It sounds like could be a makeh b'patish. First of all, it's very takua and hiddik anyway, so it might be a shayla mitzad boyne b'kelim, which I don't want to get involved in. But there are these caps that you put on the chair that the chair shouldn't scrape. What? So the felt ones are a problem. Anyways, you have to stick them on. I'm talking about the ones that aren't like that. Sometimes they have the caps that they don't screw on, but they fit in, and you have to like wedge them in or whatever. Again, it's fine. Certainly, if it's the first, the shayla will be, what if it fell out and she was already in? right? So now you're going to get involved in the shaila of makeh b'patish on the second time. Is it a tircha to get it back in? Whatever. Okay, these are all. That was the discussion that we had the other day. That's what we'll call the less conventional makeh b'patish, which is the makeh b'patish that we're discussing. You're assembling something. You're assembling. Zichar Fabes is the chair. You don't have the noise. You don't have the scraping. It's Zichar Mile in the chair. The first time I would say is probably pretty serious Isser. Sounds like it's a deraisa to me. The second time, if it's loose and it comes out and it comes back in, so that could be our sugya that it's mutter. If it doesn't go in with a difficulty and it goes right back in, no, it could be that would be mutter. If it's very, very difficult to get back in, it could be a major shiloh. It could be mamash and it's a deraisa again. This is our sugya, the unconventional makeh b'patish. So the Achreinim, they discussed this case of the disposable needle. It's a little bit unfair. They sort of just group every case together. It's right, disposable needle, and you don't know exactly what they're talking about. So I'm showing you there could be two cases. It could be enough nafkamina. So now I want to know, this nurse, he wants to know on Shabbos, could he put that piece of metal onto this needle, onto the, what do we call the needle part? Onto the syringe part. Okay. Could we put the needle onto the syringe? Keep the needle onto the syringe. And this is, it's a shayla magid. Mitzad the chayli and everything. Okay, if the person's a pekuach nefesh, okay, fine. Say it. But even if it's pekuach nefesh, you have to have tried at least to deal with it before Shabbos. If you know you have the situation, so you probably try to attach it before Shabbos. Okay, if you could, if you can. But let's say it's not a pekuach nefesh. Not every case is pekuach nefesh, right? And also, maybe it means I should have to try to get a guy to do it. I mean, we're trying to figure out if this thing is mutter gomer or not. But, So the Minchas Yitzchak or Shalom Zalman, they want to say it's mutter. Now let me make a hakdam over here. Is there a makeh b'patish on something which is a one-time usage? Something that's a one-time usage. I'm only going to use it one time. Is there a makeh b'patish? That is beyond the shadow of a doubt. You have to prove it, because everything you have to prove. But beyond the shadow of a doubt, this makeh b'patish, even on something which is disposable, which is going to be used one time. How do I know that? Toothpick. That's a Gemara Mefereshes in Beya, Taf Lamed Gimel Amid Beis, Gibrach LaLoch and Shulchan Aruch and Siman Shin Chav Beis and Sif Dalet. Over there it says, we have it over here, Shin Chav Beis Dalet, that's us, right? Shin Chav Beis Sif Dalet, it says, the Yana has a little twig, he has a twig, and he's sitting there, and how people do this all the time. They take a toothpick, and that side of the toothpick already, he's been using it since the gefilte fish, okay? And he's already holding nach the cholent, and he's holding so now he went to the other side after the cholent, he's going, and when it tastes a little fish, he goes to the other side, and now this side is blunt, and this side is blunt, and he's already sung echsoif. You understand? With the people that don't know how to do the nigget even, right? So he's done it already 7 times, he's done it. Okay, so now he has this toothpick. It's a bit weird to go and ask for another toothpick. He doesn't want to be that guy. And he's been chewing and biting and pretending the whole matzah. You know what I'm talking about, right? And now, what does he do? All of a sudden, you hear that noise, and right? And now what does he have? Voila, 2 new toothpicks. 2 new toothpicks, right? It's a mitzvah to kill him. That's an issa deraisa. If he did it amazing, I'm saying, right? You could throw him off a cliff. That's an issa deraisa of makeh b'patish. That's first over here. It's a one-time usage. That's not something that he's going to, he keeps the toothpick till tomorrow. Some people, right? But it's not something which is meant to last. That's his halacha, Shulchan Aruch, it's a Gemara Beya. If you take a twig and you fashion it doesn't have to be a fancy makeh b'patish with hammers. It doesn't have to be with fancy tools and utensils. Makeh b'patish is also with the hand over here. Metantalach in Shin Chav Beis, Sif Dalid. It says over here. It says if it's animal food, the Shulchan Aruch is going in the case over there is animal fodder. And so he says that's not a kli and whatever. He says aval kesam. What's a kesam? Kesam's a twig. A twig. You take a twig, a little piece of wood, okay, which is eino eichel behema. It's a piece of wood. And so then afilu litlai kidei lachtzais by shinav. Even if you crack it, the Mishpur goes into all the cases. He says even if you crack it over here, he says das is takab makeh b'patish. He says, and more so, even if you pedafka makbid on the sides, then you're over machatech, will kill you twice. Okay, but you get the point. The point is, this is a quintessential example of something which is not going to be a lasting. This is not going to be a lasting toothpick. Afal pikein das is makeh b'patish. What's another example of this? The other example that the price can bring is not as aggressive. It's a bit less aggressive. It's the Gemara in Sukkah, Daf Lamed Gimel. That's the reason I'm saying it, because, Be'er Lamed Gimel, Sukkah Lamed Gimel, so it makes us happy. And it's also the Shulchan Aruch and Taf Reish Mem Vav, which you just learned Sukkah. Everybody after Ben Zman probably learned Sukkah because of the Yontif. So over there, it says in the Shulchan Aruch that if you take, let's say you have a hadas, a dasim, right? And there's the berries that are growing out of it. So you want to take off the berries and you want to be masak in the kli, because if it's too many berries, so then it might be puzzle for hadas, whatever. So you take off the berries. You take out the barrier. So there it says you're not allowed to do that on Yontif if you're doing it b'dafka for the purpose of fixing the hadas, because then that's mitakin kli. That's tikkun kli. Now, take my word for it. I don't want to go into it now. There's a raya that over there the makapach is deraisa, because over there the Gemara is bringing a raya klape dichui b'mitzvahs. If you understand what I'm saying, good. If not, it's even better. But the Gemara is bringing a raya for dichui mitzvahs, and the only way you can bring a raya for dichui mitzvahs over there is the sugya of deraisa. It's dealing with korbanos. So the sushtelling over there to the sugya of hadasim, and it's talking about was the hadas nidcha from the mitzvah or not at the time when it had the berilach. Was it not? Was it nidcha from the mitzvah? And Taka the Gemara brings a raya that we see it was nidcha. The kitzur. If you look there, you'll see clear the nida and deraisa. It must be that it was not roi min Torah, this hadas, and you now made her roi min Torah. And the Gemara says that the Mishnah Berurah brings down that you're over on makeh b'padish. You're over on taking, and that's okay. Is that a one-time usage? Is hadasim disposable? Is it disposable? You could say, okay, maybe it's not disposable because that's 7 days, and okay, but you know what? Yeah, but the usage of it is going to be, I made myself a kli for the next 7 days. Yeah, okay. But the Maisa, I have a raya from Kesam, so I don't need to bring that raya. I saw other achreinim bring that raya. But we have a raya from Kesam. It says over here, disposable items are makeh patish. So it's came over. What's the need in Bichlal? What's the shayla Bichlal? If I have an injection that I'm attaching to the needle that I'm attaching to the syringe, so the fact that it's only going to be a one-time usage, who cares? The fact that it's going to be a one-time usage, I made a usable, functional needle for one time. Who cares that it's not going to last? That's not 100% muchach. Not muchach. I'm not voich about the two types. Meaning, there's the type of needle. They say it's mutter. The Minchas Yitzchak and Rosh Zman say it's mutter. I'm not 100% sure which case they're talking about. I must tell you. Oh, so they don't sort of say that. Rosh Zman is a little bit unfair. He's coming to say that Lafi the Chazanish is chiddush and electricity. That whenever two things come together, it's already a creation. So he's going to say this is aser, and I hold not like him. Therefore, it's mutter. He doesn't really tell you. You have to know all of Rosh Zalman's raid. Minchas Yitzchak just writes that it's mutter. It's very hard. He gets involved more with the chayli aspect. Let's try ourselves for a moment. Let's try ourselves. Obviously, you know where I'm headed. This poor fellow is still standing there waiting to start the Shalom Zachar. Right? There was Afghana over there when I got there. Right? You know I wasn't going to stand for that. I missed the other Shalom Zachar. Don't ask. But you know he's still standing there. He wants to put together these things. But let's go and at least what the Paiskim spoke about. Let's try to get there. Right. So I don't know exactly which case Rosh Zalman. I don't know which case. But let's see. If you're dealing with the case of my nurse friend over there in Ramat Shlomo, so he has, the super needle, we'll call it the super syringe, and then he always adds needleach. The whole time he's adding needles. The whole time. It sounds very, very, very healthy, right? So the whole time he's adding needles. So there, I could start to understand that's al derech the svaras for some Greta Frier. What svaras did we talk about? We spoke about like the belt svar. Like I can hear over here that this, what this is like? It's like, in Tfilas Kalim, I have a shtickle sheet that the actual encasement of let's say like these big huge mixers or something like that, the big ones, not the little hand ones. So I have a tzvara to say that really that thing is a davar kavua. That's not the kli. Now you just add the kalim, all those strange looking things that you mix with, and maybe those things you have to toivel, but not the whole super apparatus. Because the way you look at it is that this is it's kivyachol, it's the electricity in the wall. Kivyachol. I'm not learning to use kalim now, but my tzush tells what I want to bring out. So here you have the piece. This is the kli. This is the kli. Now each time I have to somehow get the ability for the juice to come through. How am I going to get the juice to come out of this kli? Right? If I just don't put a needle there, it's just going to go splash all over your head. So or Darton, where you stop the needle, right? So it's not, so you have to put a little thing there, like a little mini straw, and you throw it through. So that I could hear is al derech. There's no bittel there. It doesn't become one kli. The kli already is this thing, the syringe. I can hear such a svara that they're saying that's the kli. And now this thing that they put over there, that needle that they put over there, it's not, we see it's not meant to last. Clearly something that people just throw out. So what is it? It's always considered just like the straw. That's the usage of the syringe. That's the usage of this. First of all, before I continue, you understand what I'm saying? You don't understand. So I'm going to explain. It's hard svara, right? I'm saying this is for this you can get a Nobel Peace Prize if you can explain this. No? It's hard svara. But the story is like this. You have over here It's like a cup. It's like a cup. No, when I take a straw and I put it into the cup, so the straw into the cup, this is you're being mashlim the tzura. Let's say it's even like a special straw that has like, goes around and around. So you're being mashlim the tzura. You're being mashlim the tzura. No, the pshat is that you want to get the drink out, right? So the kli is the cup, right? I'm asking that this thing doesn't work without it and whatever, but there's no way I could look at it that it became one with this kli if it's not something that's ever going to last. It's something that, it's a chiddush. It's a chiddush. I don't know is it doimet to all the cases we spoke about? Clearly not. We spoke about cases of a shoe that doesn't have laces. Right? A shoe without laces. The pshat is that you don't have the shoe is going to remain. That's hashlomas hatzura. It's going to, it's going to become one with the shoe. You have the moichin that becomes the pillow. Right? Over here, you're going to say that the needle becomes one with the. Sorry. So he wants to know, why is it not like I put the shoelaces into the shoe and then I take them out? Why is it not like that? Here, the pshat is because since it's oimid lahachi, I mean, we're always going into the balabatishkeit of how people view this thing. When somebody sees the syringe, does he see a shidduch of the two of them? When he sees the laces going into a shoe, he sees that there's a shoe that was created. He sees moichim into a pillow, he sees it was being created. Don't get confused. I still agree with the Gemara. A disposable item, if I think it could be makapash, because I created a toothpick. I made something over here. Till now, it wasn't the toothpick. It was some dull thing that wasn't working. Now I made a toothpick. The fact that I'm not using the toothpick for longer than a one-time usage, that's irrelevant. Here, what do you want to say? You want to say, I made here a needle. I was mashlim the needle. No one sees it like that because of the fact that always there's going to be another needle going in. You see it as the tata, you see it as the father, the av l'kulam, and then you attach things. It's a chiddush. It's a chiddush. I'm not saying that, that if Rosh Zalman voltage gesagt, if the Mitzchat Yitzchak wouldn't have said it, I don't know if I would have said it. Okay, what have you been looking at me for? But I don't know if I would have said it. But now that they say it, I can hear it. But slowly. But then, I don't know. Is that doimit to the case of, Rabbi, you were talking about the first type of needle, what I just described, right? But Rabbi Balan, you were talking about the second type of needle, okay? So I don't know, is it doimit the second needle? Would they say there's svar in the second type of needle where the pshat is that you have a syringe and you have separately a needle, you're putting it together, and then that's it. You use it once and throw it in the garbage. I don't know. Maybe there, is that what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe there is worse. Maybe the pshat is there. You made a creation right now. You made a needle. It's only going to be used one time. I don't know. Does anybody know? No, because anyways, because I'm not the Rosh Kollel today, right? Because of the Zionist involvement in the neighborhood over here. So I'm not the Rosh Kollel. So if anybody knows, he could be the Rosh Kollel. You want to sit here? I'll give my time. You want to sit here? You want to have to wear a mask? I don't know. Do I know? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. I could hear someone coming along and saying that listen closely, because I'm saying a chiddush now. It's not my derech to say chiddushim, but listen closely. I could hear that even though we said that one-time usage is always ma'akev b'patish, I'm not coming to cause trouble over here, right? But there is a fundamental difference between a ma'akev b'patish. Let me explain. Rabbi Chodi was asking me a shayla the other day. He wants to know, right? What's the difference that I told you that when you take a cup and you make a picture on it, right now is a cup, and it doesn't have the picture. And then you put the picture on it, so the Mishnah Berurah brings down from the Rambam, that's ma'akev b'patish. It was an incomplete bug. Now you put on it its picture, that becomes ma'akev b'patish. So I said the other day that if you have what was the case we were talking about, like a quilt, let's say, I don't know which way you asked. You asked on the quilt case. On the quilt, you take the quilt and you put it into the quilt cover. So I said that that's not ma'akev b'patish. I can't be soiled that. Why? Because the quilt is a fartik izach. It's a gemar davar legamrei. The only reason you're putting her into the quilt cover is because you don't want to one day have to take the quilt and put it into a washing machine because it's not negaya. So you take something just to block it. You dress it. You dress the quilt. That's all you're doing. You're just dressing the quilt. You're putting clothing on the quilt. But it's not be'etzim that you're being mashlim at sur over here. And wait, now I don't remember. So what was the question you asked me? You're doing it to make it less. So sometimes you have just like that quilt, and on the quilt, this is the quilt that he was Yerush from his older brother, and that it was in the deer all the years and whatever, and has all types of dreadful, interesting looking stains over there, right? So that's so he can't have that. He can't have that. He's married, all of Sachakol. Like you guys are like freshly married. You can't do that. So you dress it up in a quilt cover, and then she has no idea what was going on over here, right? And so that's for yoifi too. And we said it's going to remain for months and years and whatever, right? So that's this garnish. Why is that not? But why? When you're making yoifi, so Taitis is that you have to start back a step here. There's no shaila that when you're dealing with a cup and hashlamas hatzura of the cup and you're going and you're finishing the cup, that's a emes makeh b'patish, meaning I don't want to give it names of emes makeh b'patish, but there is a much easier makeh b'patish. You're being mashlim hatzura. Here you have to have emunah. You have to have emunah that when you take two things together and make them into a one. That's what we're trying to figure out here. Did you take two and make them into one? But if you're in the one itself, if you have a mug, and I'm telling you this mug isn't finished because you still didn't make a picture on it, so then it's not a finished mug. It's a part of the mug mamish. I don't have to sell you that there were two things that became one. That's not that type of makeh b'patish. I'm not trying to tell you the picture plus the mug is now one, and that's why it's makeh b'patish. No, the reason why it's makeh b'patish is because that's a part of the mug mamish. That's the shlum of the mug. The mug isn't finished yet without the picture. So it's not like two parts that are becoming one. It's not two parts. What we're dealing with the whole last week and now is when you have two parts that become one, and we're trying to figure out, did these two parts become one? Or did they remain as two separate parts? That's a whole different shmooze. So that's what we're explaining. Let's say the belt and the pants, so it remains as two different parts. There's the belt, there's the pants, they remain as two different parts. So therefore they don't become one. So therefore it doesn't start makeh b'patish. This type of makeh b'patish is that you're creating a oneness from two parts. Okay, so that's why it doesn't start. That's why when you have the quilt, my explanation was to explain that it remains as two separate parts. That's how we explained it, right? It's a mushlik. I'm just giving you, this is a mushal. So now come back over here. So I don't know. It's true that disposable items, when you're chiseling out and you're making, even with the greatest of ease, just cracking it in half and you make it into a toothpick. Right now I cracked it and now I could have something that I'm going to go and I'm going to take out all the juicy bits. That's not the makeh b'patish, because that's you made something, you did a ticket. Here, what we're trying to figure out, when I put these two parts together, did I make a oneness? So now, I don't know. Maybe in this other type of syringe, when I take a syringe and I put it to a needle, and it's not something that is going to last, so then maybe it's just a chatimtza for me to be able to use these two items. Maybe somebody would be bold enough and brave enough. I'm not. I'm just trying to, you'll see where I'm going with this. But maybe someone would be bold enough and brave enough to say, so then, it's just, we could, a little bit deeper than what we said before. I have a syringe. I can't get the liquid out. I need to attach this to this, not because I'm making a oneness here. Oneness, in order to be a oneness, to be a real oneness, it has to last. That's the aleph base maybe of a oneness. If it's not going to last, now why is it not going to last? Not because I'm going to throw it out like this. I'm going to throw it out when it's attached. Right? If I'm going to take it apart and then throw it in the garbage, which quite a lot of times they do, because the needle part is more dangerous. So they break it apart and they'll put that one there and that one there. That case. That's a prabba. Prabba, I need to explain prabba like a simon, right? That's a prabba. The fact that most of the time, many people just take it and break it apart, put that one there, even if I'm not breaking it apart, but it just shows you that you can't say there was a oneness that was created over here. When can I say there's a makeh b'patish on a disposable item? A makeh b'patish on a disposable item is an item like a toothpick. You made here a usable toothpick. Who cares how long you're going to use it for? What's enough kamina? Here, we're in the other type of makeh b'patish. When I take two things and I make them one. And now you're trying to figure out, did I make one? So when I put the laces into the shoe, that's a shoe now. That's a whole matzah, right? Maybe the aleph base of this type of makeh b'patish is that it has to be something that is going to remain, and that kamet's not going to remain. So then, what's a negeya? Meaning it's going to be used further. If it's not going to be used further, so then maybe I look at this not as a creation. I look at this as a usage. I'm using the two parts in conjunction. I need to put this part here and this part there, and that's kivyachol. You'd all agree if it wasn't actually attached mamish, and I put them very near each other. It wouldn't be a makeh b'patish, even though I couldn't use this without that. So even when I put it together mamish, even when I attach it mamish, since it's not something that is obviously a screwing in, etc. So maybe we look at it as I just put them really near each other. So therefore, you can't say there's a oneness. That would have been a potential svara. They don't explain the svara, so I'm explaining the svara. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? It's a big chiddush. It's a big chiddush. By a syringe, come in hair and epis. By the first case, a syringe can zich a heron. By the second case of a syringe, maybe you can hear. And now from here, we have to go weiter. That's what we have in print. Yes, Rabbi. Yeah. You mean the fact that he would use a different needle?
No, same needle, but a different liquid.
So which way do you want to bring it, Ryan?
The part, in fact, he's throwing out the other one separately, and he's putting in another medicine. We use it.
I don't understand. What are you saying?
Let's say I want.
It seems to be you understand needles very well, and it's different. Yeah.
You take
two different drugs. Yeah.
So you take off. You use the first medicine.
Yeah.
Use a syringe with it. Take it off and then put on the other medicine afterwards.
That was more like the first case I spoke about. This case, usually the case is he won't do that. He'll just, most people just chuck it. It seems to be not everybody. How are you feeling? You're bringing a raya though, like a praba, not a praba, to show that it's not. But what's important by me is one thing: is the lumdis is that avada. Don't get confused. Makabit patish is even on a one-time item. We're just trying to figure out: did you make a one? Or you're just using both parts in conjunction, which you're bringing a raya that you're using both parts in conjunction. But even you agree, it's not muchach. It's not muchach because in this matzah right now, Rabbi say, should I go from mechudish to almost evil? Go one step further. I mean, we have another svara. Don't forget, we had a svara by Kaisher. You remember the svara we had by Kaisher that we spoke about a lot? What happens if I have a knot that I went and I tied the knot, and I don't plan on ever opening the knot, but I didn't need the knot to be closed. It's just by default, I need to close it for 1 second, but I'm just never going to open her. What's an example? It's like the garbage bag, I close the knot. What do I need? If I need to get from here till it gets to the garbage. But punklach, I'm never going to open that knot. We spoke about that with the Maldiskin. We spoke about it with the Sir Lazazel. We spoke about it with the Raya from Rashi. The Maisa, there was a tzad the Maldiskin had to say, we brought a Raya from Rashi. That no, you're closing it lo'olam and kol tov. I don't care why you're closing it lo'olam. You're closing it lo'olam, right? We have a tzad maybe not like that. Maybe the pshat is that no, I'm closing it for a minute, right? Not a lo'olam dikana. It's just mamela going to be tied. So that was a big shot. So maybe this is like a first cousin of that shaila. It's actually called a first cousin of the shaila, right? Because sorry. The toothpick is different because the toothpick is a creation. Here I'm using that svara because what's the svaras in kosher? Kosher are the same types of svaras. Oh, Rabbi said you have to understand this. Kosher is the same types of svaras. Kosher is a svara of these two things connecting together. So now I'm using that svara to say, Kemoy over there, maybe it's not called connecting together. Maybe it's only called that it's going to be together for a minute. Grada, it's going to remain loylam, but that's not my maisa kosher. We spoke about these svaras. So maybe it's the same thing here. Maybe I don't look at it as connecting because even if I'm not going to take it apart, so then, Lamaisa, what's nafkamina? It's something that you only need for that 1 second. Now, that's far we don't hold of. When it comes to kosher, we were machmer on that shiloh. But if I say vait, to weisen, at least to steal that svara to show that there's two items over here and I'm not making a oneness, so then I maybe could steal that svara, maybe. And maybe the reason I'm being so aggressive over here, it's not my style to be aggressive. But the reason I'm being so aggressive is because a lot of the svarim that they bring down, the Rishonim Zman, they don't differentiate, right? And they don't discriminate, and they put these two types of needles together, and they seem to say that all the needles are mutter. All the needles are mutter. I did see that the Megillah Sefer is a wonderful Sefer, and he writes over there, he doesn't understand Rishonim Zman, it should be makeh b'patish. He says, what's he talking about? It should be makeh b'patish. You're putting it together. This needle, she was never here. So then Gemara knew it should be makeh b'patish. She wants to argue. I saw the Or L'Tzion, Rabbeinu Agadol, Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul, in Beis Lamed Vav Yud Tes, he says, B'shum panim v'ofin nit. B'shum panim v'ofin nit. That you're not allowed to go and put it together. Das is makeh b'patish. That's makeh b'patish. Okay, I just explained that stuff. When it comes to an injection, it's a very big shiloh. Would there be a shtikala eitzah to tell the Jew? In the first case, I hear it's a lot more mutter, as you guys realize. In the second case, would there be an eitzah to tell this Jew to go and put it together with the das that you're going to take it apart? Maybe. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced because Rabbi Fischel over here is going to give me a hard time. He's going to say, why is it not like cooking a chicken and then throwing it in the garbage, right? I know you're for sure about to say that. Oh, you don't like any of the svars. He doesn't like anything he's hearing today. Nothing. Well, it's not my fault. Rosh Kallus didn't come today. Sorry? And so which way are you saying? And therefore what? I could say both ways, Kafi, what you just said. So you should be arrested. You should be arrested. Actually, I shouldn't say it. You should be arrested, right? Because I could say, boom, fakir, punkt, from what you just said. Boom, fakir, punkt. You know what I could say? I could say, fakir, she was made, sie schon erfahrte gesagt, man darf legen zu a straw, right? Man darf zulegen a straw, du. Was? Was?
Syringe is worthless. It's not called a needle.
You know what you remind me? A pillow says it was made that my head should sleep on it. So it's not a fight to go clean until I put my cup. Rested. What?
The syringe needs a needle in order to be considered a vaccine.
The syringe needs something to be able. You know what else? You're dangerous. You know that? You're a dangerous person. The syringe also needs the juice. So you tell me until the juice goes in, it's also not? What? Without the juice, it's not a kli? What's the juice called? We have to have a fancy name for the juice. What? The drugs, right? The narcotics that you put inside there. What? Oh, he doesn't know from these things. You don't understand what I'm saying? What's the difference between putting in the juice? He's hiding now. I see you over there. Yeah. What's the difference between putting in the juice and putting in the needle? No. It's also not a fighting a kli. That's called you're using the cup. What?
It doesn't necessarily need this, whatever's inside it at the moment.
It needs something, or it's.
Yeah, of course, otherwise you don't need the whole needle.
So then the needle's just a timtza to be ma'afsher. Who says that I look at it that maybe it's a usage? Now again, Louis saw you were actually, screwing something on and making it into one thing. Here, you're trying to.
There are some needles that are made with syringes on it, connected with needles connected.
Not sure that's what's the raya. What's the raya?
Right, because it shows you need to have this. You always need to have this. No way of not having it.
I don't know if that's a raya. I don't know if that's a raya. I don't know if that's a raya. I'm not sure if that's a raya. You didn't prove to me, Rabbi. One second. Rabbi Singer, you didn't prove. All you proved to me is that there are ones that are one. You didn't prove to me that the two becomes one.
Why? Because otherwise,
So maybe there are the types that are ones, and then there are the types that they're in two parts. Maybe they're the types that are in two parts. Sorry? Fine, but maybe that convenience. You know what? So then, by the case of the coat, there are coats that don't have belts. Right? You can have a coat on a belt. And then you have when you put the belt in, with the two leg in the belt. So then so you're telling me, well, I show you that it doesn't work like that. It could be that's a fartig kli. When you have the pants belt, right? So we said that's probably not a makim patish, right? Why? There are pants that come with special belts, which are miyuchid for their pants and whatever. What? Well, no, he said with the bago boy, he said, right? Nobody heard of it?
still can't find them.
Bugle. He said bugle.
I'm sure they're nice people. I still can't find them.
What? Yeah. I don't know. Shay, I'm not being machriach this far. I'm not being machriach. I'm not going to. It's true. You know what? You did not prove to me. Wait, slowly. I'll prove to you that svara might not. It can't be out of sight. One sec. Wait. What's his? I don't know his name. What's his name? I don't know his name. What's it? Simcha. Seller? Sender? Stender. Rabbi Stender. No, I mean, it's not muchach, because in the first case, you'll also disagree. In the first case, the case where it was you keep the syringe and you always put on new ones. I don't know. You could look at it that it never becomes one. What? Yeah, no, that's a marshal. That's not. Rabbi say, I mean, what? You're a Sephardi, Rabbi Stender, or no? No, because for Sephardim, it's for sure. I'm saying that's no shot. They're Tzion. What? Yeah. Rabbi say, I'm not. This is all one big marshal. The Maisa I say. So now the question is, where could we go from here? Where could we go from here? Could we go back to the Shalom Zachar? We go back to the Shalom Zachar. So over there, and it's so rampant. It's so rampant. I heard afterward, somebody told me that they come in 50, packs of 50 of the cup and 50 of the leg. So sometimes it's very simple. You take the leg, and the leg, she's also a cover. And then afterwards, so Yana takes his cup, and then he takes that leg and puts it to there. No, chas v'shalom, it's the first time. It's a mitzvah to kill him. No, absolutely not. No, but there it would have been easier. Wait, no, Rabbi, you're missing my point. There it could have been easier, because there you could tell your wife, Rabbi said, order in the court. You could tell your wife, you could tell her like this, you come home today, you go straight for the closet. What's going on? You're snooping around. You're like, aha. You take out the 50 of these and the 50 of these. You tell, okay, nope. How do you make these on Shabbos? Right? So she's going to say, well, you just take that. Oh, no. Right? You tell Erev Shabbos, you take the one, which is going to be the lid, and then you take it first, you put it on the leg on the bottom, and then you put it on the lid. And then the assumption is normal human beings, it's not going to be like, in the middle of the table, he's going to, like, when no one's looking, take Yenim's, and put it over here on his leg. And that's not normal. He's going to take his lid, and he's going to put it on his leg. So on Erev Shabbos, you tell her from now on, before you put the lid on, you first attach it to the leg, and then it was already made into this, this cup, I don't know what, right? And then afterward, you take it, and then you close it, and then the assumption is, okay. But if you're going to do it for the first time, that's for sure a problem. Now, could we maybe, but my point is, it's very enough. It's these things are everywhere, the caterers and everywhere. What? Sorry? Oh, so maybe you'll say it stands without the base. Maybe you'll say that it stands without the base. What? So sometimes it stands without the base. The ones that are like more squarish, they stand without the base. So maybe you'll say, first of all, some don't, and whatever, okay. And some it's very easy, it's much easier. First of all, Rabbi say, who says that that's a svara? Yoifi in Makeh B'Patish, certainly Yoifi is a mandamar, finishing off touches. Sorry? Sorry. Let's go one of that. I'm not sure. It could be you asking the same question. I don't know. But no, you were the one just asking the question. One second. Let me answer first the first question. You asked a different question? What just happened there? Again, the first thing is Yoifi a manda Omar in Makeh B'Patish. Yoifi for sure it could be a Makeh B'Patish. Half the Makeh B'Patish cases are making a Yoifi, taking something and making a Yoifi. You're making it nice, you're making it shane, you're making it into a different surah. Why would it be? I have no svara. I don't see why in the world it wouldn't be a Makeh B'Patish based on Yoifi. I don't know. I don't see it sad. If somebody could prove me it's sad, I don't see it sad. In Shin Beis, well, Sartzura for sure, but maybe in Shin Beis, my Mishnah doesn't have it's the second one. Bring me a Shin Beis a second. Shin Bet. Bring me the Shin Bet. There we go. Oh, it does. We're on to them. Shin Bet. Over here. Over here is talking about this guy. He has, some people have on their jackets, they have fruchis. You know what I'm talking about? The different mishpachas have different names for these things, right? I think the word in Yiddish is fruchis, right? You guys say fruchis. From Flatbush we said fruchis, right? But they have fruchis, right? Yaakov, you know what I'm talking about, right? They have like fruchis and fruchis. Some people have them in their belly button. Verstehst du? You know, that's how it goes, right? But everyone knows what I'm talking about, the fruchis, right? Not lint. You're lint. Fruchis. Fruchis are like attached. Lint is lint. I'm talking about fruchis. They're like, so sometimes, wait, 1 minute. I'll explain. Sometimes you have fruchis after it's time to, the whole jacket is showing a fruchi, you know? It's already verfrucht. It's time already to get a new jacket, you know? That's how it goes. So then, sometimes when you take those guys off, you're over on Korea because they attach themselves and you're making a Korea, it's attached to the thing and you're making a ticket by taking them off. It's a whole ticket, right? But the Shulchan no, I'm not the Rosh Kollel. You have to listen to me. Haloiket yaboilois shall gabe bigodim. Yabelis is like a wart. How's the art scroll going to translate this one? Yabel, you're taking off the warts off the bigodim. Kigoin, Rabbi said, Elo yaboilis shebekliat semar nesharim beben arbig. He's not talking about fruchis. He's talking about way before it got fruchid. He's talking about when it was already on the ariga and you cut off your jacket. They just cut it off of the loom, right? And there you are with your jacket all cut off of the loom. And now it has these yaboilis. Yabelis. So Mr. Brewer says, what's a yabelis? It's a gavshushis. Just made it better. Like it's a ditch. You have like these ditches, or who knows? Vuadin kashin, vikismin dakim shenenergu and whatnot. And kosachreinim, huadin the strigevanas. Right? Who knows what strigevanas are? No, strigevanas? No. No, see, what's a strigevana? You don't know. Okay. Shaisin achayatim betchila kedei lechaber achayut. Das is make bepatish. Why? Shabbat says, because anything that's a dvar nigmar malacha chay make bepatish. No, Rabbi said, this thing over here, is the jacket wearable? Is it finished? Is it this? So the Paiskim say, I think the Gras says, he says, who cares? It's the yoifi. So the yoifi is also make bepatish. Who cares that it was wearable? You have one little fruchi over there that you're taking off, but it was wearable. Doesn't matter. Yoifi could also be make bepatish. So why? So I don't see why. Maybe someone can explain this to me. I don't see why. Why? I can't, I admit that the examples of moichin and the cases that we dealt with, the twos, making them into ones, that type of makeh b'patish, assembly, sug makeh b'patish. I admit that I don't have a raya mefereshes from a Gemara that there is a case of yoifi, but I don't see why not. One of the prerequisites of makeh b'patish is of this type of makeh b'patish is that it can't be for yoifi. Well, you're taking these two things, you're making them into one. The fact that it was usable before, now it's better usable, it's nicer. I wasn't saying that when it came to the quilt. That's a whole different concept. By the quilt, the lumdus that we were saying is not like yoifi, nish yoifi. The shot is there. It's two things, and you're just doing this in order that you shouldn't have to put this into the washing machine. So we don't see a oneness. It blocks the oneness. Here, you make over here this very fancy cup. So it doesn't block the oneness. The yoifi is blocking the oneness. So I don't see that should be a svar. I don't see why that should be a svar. But so I now we have to taka the case. So could you take these cups and put them together? So nagaya. He was putting a bayside. It was like driving a tractor trailer over there. It's like a tractor trailer. It was one after the other. He was going, if I wouldn't have come there, Shem Shemayim. There are just so many goats that can be brought when the base of Mikdash will be built. Right? Unbelievable. And he was going on and on. He didn't see any problem. So let's see. Is this the same as a syringe svar? Is it the same as a syringe svar? Maybe it's the same as a syringe svar. It's two things that are going to be thrown out afterward. And it's maybe the same as it.
Are they going to be taken apart?
So they're probably not going to be taken apart. It's a shalom zacher. Who's going to go and put him apart? The guy's got like arbus coming out of his, what do you want from the guy? No, so it's okay. So again, let's use the svars we spoke about by the needle. Maybe it's not going to be. Maybe it is going to be. Okay, I'm saying, but this is for sure not. You're right. Okay, it's true. It's for sure not. But let's go without that svar. Let's say you would have the das to take it apart, but that das might not be a really good das because But let's say the svars that we spoke about before, that even if you would keep it together, but it's just called usage. Maybe this is just called usage. Well, what do you say about that? What do you say about that? I think this is the worst svar in the history of the world. Ever. Is no zustand. Right? Rabbi say, over here, you made a cup. This cup really could last la'olam v'ad l'netzach nitzachim. Okay? And you could reuse it. La'olam v'ad l'netzach nitzachim. Okay? Just what? You just don't plan on doing that. Why? Because that's why we buy plastic to throw in the garbage in order, you could use it. You could certainly reuse it and whatever. You made a cup. Why is a syringe any different than that? Why is a syringe any different than that? Us? Why can't you reuse it? Well, you could also. So that there is a chiluk here. One is you made a cup, and a cup you decided you made a cognizant decision that the reason I'm buying plastic is in order to throw it out. It's cheaper. It's this. It's that. Whatever. Some people buy like really fancy ones, and it costs more than the flatware. But that's how it goes. You buy it in order to throw it out, but that's a decision. It's not the pshat that it's not usable. Okay, a needle is a little bit different. The pshat is that a needle is a type of an item that, because of its tzura and its entire usage is begetted, like we're saying, it's a usage. You're putting two things together and you're not really making one. You're getting the echatims of this to be able to go through this. I'll say it's stronger, but I want to add all these stars together. Each one of them is adding to the point that there is a oneness here, as opposed to there where it remains a two-ness. I'm just going to give you a few examples of this. Sorry? You could use it, but once you did it, you want that yoifi. That's what we just explained. You want that surah. Sorry? Yeah, that's also, Kavchaimer. I'm saying, but even. Afilu, I'm saying even if you weren't able to use it without, even if you were able to use it without it, but you still did the finishing touch of a shenkite. You made a usage of making it nice. But let's go slow. Everybody say, when it came to this cup, so let's try and figure it out. Cup as far as that we just said a minute ago. The cup that goes first. There, the idea is that I gave you an example. If I would take the syringe and I put it near the needle, theoretically, right? Theoretically, that's all I really need over here. So you put it in, and that's what gets it through. That's why we look at it as a usage. That's the reason why we look at it as a usage, because I have no interest in the togetherness. It happens to be, it is togetherness. So therefore, we're using all these svaras to explain that, therefore, we don't see it as a oneness. Something that by default, there's a oneness, and like we're saying, it's just a usage, and many times we actually separate it and actually take it apart. So then I could look at it that it's two parts, and I don't see that one was created. Haraya, it's not something that I'm going to keep around. Kalim, generally, you keep, but when you have something that the entire tzura of what you want to create is you want to make a cup. You're coming to do that. And it wouldn't be enough for me, Kivyachol, if you would ask him, would it be enough for you to just hold the base over here and the cup part of it, look at you like you're a weird person? Because you are a weird person. Right? If you're asking that question, then you're strange. Because then you don't understand the first thing about these cocktail cups. The whole point is you're trying to make a oneness over here. But Elamite, but I'm going to throw it out afterward. But now we go back to our side. Makeh b'patish is even on a one-time thing. The fact I want market partition is even on a disposable item. So therefore, I don't know. To me, it sounds like to do it the first time is a gummer. To do it the second time to the different leg is a gummer. To do it the second time to the same leg, mutter gummer, because now you're just doing reassembly. Right? So there was somebody there at the Shalom Zachar. He told me, it's a chaval. What he should have done is, this is what I do, He does this. He says when he gets them at first, because they stack up all nicely and everything. Right? So what he does is like this. He takes one leg. Listen to Gavaldik. It's Gavaldik, It's Gavaldik. There's always that guy, It's Gavaldik. He was in Seger for the last 3 months in Machlamo, so he had a lot of time on his hands. He's also the guy that doesn't buy toilet paper. He cuts, the roll. That guy, right? So he says he takes one leg. He takes one leg and he just he tries on that one leg to every single cup. So now she already had a leg. So one time he won't be, probably by the time he's finished with it, it broke. So his stomach is over every time. But he said, and then it's Gavaldik, that's what you do. But we know that this leg was never a shidduch with her, and she had never had those shoes on and thus, right? So that's a problem. So I don't know. I think it's a problem. I looked around on this case specifically. I found in the Machzeh Eliyahu Falk, Zeichet Tzadik Levracha, in the second volume, in the 13th tshuva. It's interesting. He doesn't talk about the syringe case. I was a little bit surprised. But over there, he basically comes out that it's an Isser deraisa. He dance. Maybe we could say that you're keeping it together. Just one moment. He dance. Maybe you could say we're keeping it together by default. Like we said, so he says, listen, on that shaila, we're machmir. That's the rivash, which we spoke about. I said I'll be mitzaref that svara, klape syringe, to use it as a svara to say that I don't see a oneness. But here he's trying to make a oneness. He's trying to make a cup with a base. So it's a very big. I didn't know you have to make a big deal out of this, but my wife told me everybody has these things. They sell them in all the Chad Pamish stores, and the caterers, a big problem. What? So you got to do something. You have to go in there. Who's going to take Shari Vacha? No, see. Who's going to take, what's the other one? The KRM. No, who's going to take Mike's? Yeah, who's going to take? No, the Galley Center. In Toronto, they have any supermarkets? Well, who's going to take Igloos? No, who's going to? Yeah? No, I'm nervous about this. No, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was like these things. I didn't think and it seemed to be like a very big, it's a very big thing. Very big thing. Vas? That's all in one piece. He's asking, when you have a folded fork, so you just unfold it. That's just like no, it's not bending a fork, because the other pshat is that's made to open and close. It's made to open and close. That's a folding chair. A folding chair does his mutter on Shabbos. Buzz? I don't know what it means. It was never open. It's all made in that place, and it was made in a way where it can unfold. No, that's a folding chair. I'm not afraid of you. Sorry? Every syringe, excuse them, what? Yeah. What do you mean, son? What do you mean it comes out? What do you mean? Yeah. Yeah. If that would come out, you could put it back. Why not? It was once in. Who cares? No, because it was already in. It's the second time. Second time. It was in. For sure it was in. Maybe the first time we could talk about it, but the second time it was in. So I don't know. He says at the end of that tshuva, the great Goyin Rafalk, at the end of that tshuva, Rafalk says that perhaps if you have das to take it out, so he has it sad to say that maybe that's not a deraisa. Maybe it's not deraisa because you're not planning on keeping it here. So maybe we don't see a oneness mikoyach your das elamai, but he says it still is a derabanan because like the gzeira we saw by kosher, that's something that the Velt does. You know, we're going to be afraid that you're going to keep it lo'ilam. He says, what's his nafkamina? His nafkamina is he wants to say that maybe you can get a guy to put these cups together. And what do? You'll tell the guy, let's say it's a big, I don't know why it's such a big tzarech though. It's still a derabanan, he says, right? So he says, no, so you're going to tell the guy, and he says, you don't even have to tell the guy your das is to take them apart. My das is going to be taken apart. So the guy puts it, my das is kaveya. I had a hard time with this tshuva, I must tell you, I had a hard time. He wants to say that maybe the guy will put it together, and then we'll have das to take it apart. So therefore, the only thing you're doing here is a derabanan. So therefore, Amir La'akum is a double derabanan now, shvus to shvus. B'makim, whatever. I don't know what the big makim is. I mean, it's what? Sorry, makim shalom zachar. Like you can't have the shalom zachar without. I'll prove it to you because I was there. The shalom zachar. I told them I'm closing down the shalom zachar. Right? There was no this. Right? I was about to take away the arbis and start running. Right? Thank God I saw they had whiskey there that I hold this tray for. So it was Labor Day over there. Right? You know, I told them another word. I start with the whiskey. You know, there was, but al kapanim, I don't know. I don't. This is a very big problem. This is a very big problem. So it's a good thing we spoke about it. No, Rabbi Khan, whose idea was to speak about it? It's a very big problem. No, it's a very big problem. I don't know that this is a big problem. No, there's a big problem. People are worried about Trump and Biden. That this is mamish like a real serious thing. Like that. It's a very serious thing. Akapanim, we didn't do anything today. What's going to be? Oh my goodness, we mamish did nothing today. And it's over. What happened today? It's 4:54. Oh, because they changed the clock. All right, look. We got to finish. Wait, so we have to finish Makapatich. We got to do muksa and everything. Okay, whoever's new should come over to me and I'll meet you. Whoever needs a chavrusa, when you walk out, you know, tell somebody should make sure that there's none of the bad guys there. Let me know what's going on there.